Hey, what's up, everybody? Working on Offsides podcast. I'm with Pete. Pete, how you doing today, bro?
What's up, brother?
Bro,
Good to be back. Good to be back.
I know, man. Look, I was fiending the other day. I was like, man, um, and it's a few different things, bro. It's like we got a week left in a sense. After this weekend, there's only a week left. Teams will be finalized by Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So by Monday, we know who's on the roster. Well, we hopefully know who's starting for each team. When you doing your draft?
Next weekend,
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, I'm doing drafts next weekend too. Um, trying to do they want me to do a money league, so I'm trying to see how many people I got right now for it. I gotta look, but I'm recording. So yeah, I'm part of two money leagues. I was thinking about doing one myself. Actually, I'm part of three, bro. So it'd be four. I'll be managing five leagues in a sense. But one is, one is for fun. You know what I'm saying? One is for fun. So
Yeah.
The other ones, I do it. It's cool. I mean, it's entertaining for me. You know what I'm saying? So I can't wait. I can't wait. And then but I'm gonna miss a lot of games though, bro. That first week, I'm in DR from the 4th to the 8th. So I think the first game is Thursday, which Ravens or Chiefs at Ravens, right?
No. Other way around.
Ravens at Chiefs.
Yep.
Okay, so that's Thursday night. I'm gonna be in DR. Then Sunday, I'm flying back.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll probably catch. I might be able to catch something Sunday, between being at the airport. I got NFL Plus, so I could watch that there. Or I got YouTube TV, so whatever I can find, I'll watch it. But I really won't get a full week of football until the following week. You know what I'm saying? So,
Gotcha.
yeah. So, I mean, let's go ahead and get started, man. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about, and maybe it's not a good topic right now, but we could dive into it and then rehash it later on next week after they set these teams up. But what are your top 5 teams in NFL?
Top five teams, the top five offenses.
Um, I had put offenses, but let's go offenses. Yeah, let's do offenses. Let's do offenses.
So what I had the top five offenses for me were San Fran, Eagles, Lions, Dolphins, and I had and the last one was the Chiefs.
Okay. So why that order? Let's go that way.
That was no particular order.
No particular order.
Yeah,
So
that was no particular order.
okay.
I guess if you want, and it's gonna sound it's not conventional because I think everybody would probably go Eagles or Rams. I mean, Eagles or Dolphins, but I would go Detroit because I
That's
think they
one.
got all their skill position players. They got a two-headed monster for running back with Montgomery and Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
They got a number one who they just signed, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They got a legitimate TE1 with Laporta. So I think they got one of the best offensive lines, and they got a solid quarterback. I think their offense is, but I mean the Philly's not too far off from them. I think, but I would give the slight edge to Detroit. I think they're better at because they have two solid running backs, and they just have Barkley. I would give the edge to Detroit in running back and in quarterback. I think Goff is a better quarterback than Hurts. And in tight end, I'd give them the slight edge, Laporta over Goddard. Now, wide receiver, Philly got the edge there because Brown and Devontae Smith, I think is better than it's a better receiving group than Detroit has with Williams, Jameson Williams, who hasn't really proven anything yet, but I'm around say Brown is legit. But that's kind of like my tail of the tape. But those two, I'm torn between those two at one and 1A, and then I would say San Fran after that.
So you have Lions, then 49ers, and then they just fall where they fall.
I would say Lions, Eagles, 1A, 1B, and then right after that is the 49ers.
Okay. So for me, man, I don't know. I saw some people didn't have the Chiefs. I'm glad you put the Chiefs up there because I would have put the Chiefs up there. And here's why. obviously on paper, not everything could look good. You could have a draft, you could draft in fantasy, and on paper, your team is magnificent. But the season kicks off and it doesn't hit, right? It's a dud. And you're like, how I'm not winning with all these players, you know? So when I look at some of these teams, they're so built for more and great, but then you see the Chiefs last year, you know, most drop passes, couldn't get the ball downfield like that. Really, their defense carried them, and they win the Super Bowl. And it reminds me of them back in the days, the Patriots. They when we didn't have Hogan, Amendola, Wes Welker, and Gronk, and then we had James White and maybe another running back, Sony Michelle or somebody. But as long as you had the quarterback on the center that understands the offense and make it do what it do, then you know you're winning. So when I looked at that, you know, to me, so I'm gonna tell you why I would put the Eagles first because they got Dotson. So they just acquired Dotson from the Redskins, who was a first round pick. He probably wasn't the number one because I think McLaurin took over that spot. But now you got Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Dotson. You know what I'm saying? Hurts, yeah, I agree. I think that Goff is a better thrower of the ball, better
When I say quarterback, that's what I mean. Like
yeah,
thrower of the passing wise, that's what I mean.
passing wise, right? But what Hurts brings to the table is that he could run the ball, right? And then you get Saquon, and we know a healthy Saquon's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So while they got a two-headed monster over there, I think Saquon is both of those in a healthy state combined. So I probably would go Eagles, man. Number one, you made a good case for Lions, so I probably put them number two. Chiefs, I'll leave at 5 only because they're gonna have to figure that out. You got Xavier
It's
Worthy.
not sexy like the other ones, but
Oh,
they still got the best quarterback in the league.
yeah. I mean, and you got Rashid Rice is going into his second year. You have Xavier Worthy. You have they have another receiver too over there. I can't remember.
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown. So now he's hurt though, but when he comes back, um, you give it. See Hollywood Brown. I don't think we've seen his potential unlocked yet.
That's why I put him there.
Yeah,
And again, you have, and let's not forget the play calling of Andy Reid. So
right.
for me, even if they're 5, they got to be in there because they're legit. To me, anyway. Another thing, I just want to touch on this real quick. I don't know why everybody's making it seem like Dotson is like this huge pickup. Like Washington got rid of him for a reason. Washington got rid of him. Why is everybody acting like this guy is freaking Antonio Brown? Like,
So
I mean, I'm not saying he's a scrub, but like,
nah, but that's a good point, right? So when Jimmy G left the Patriots, I was recruiting in Peekskill, New York. That's attached to New England. Our headquarters is in Boston. So I'll go to headquarters and whenever I had to go up there, I go talk to this guy named Jimmy Ty. He was like our education specialist. He's the guy that translated transcripts and stuff like that. Anyways, diehard Boston fan from Boston. And I said, Jimmy, how you feel about us getting rid of Jimmy G? And he goes, Belichick knows what he's doing. Obviously, there was something in him that they didn't want. We found out later it was more of a personnel issue than talent. However, seeing what Jimmy G turned into later, it dodged the bullet, right? So I kind of agree there. But let's see as wide receiver what they're going to really expect out of him. He's not the 1 or the 2. He's going to be the 3. Is he really, though, the third option, or is Goddard the third? Or
that's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm
Everybody then you start seeing people, oh, do they have the best receiver room? Like, why? Because they got this guy?
So the thing is, I think it's based on if you can get 50% of him, you don't need him to be 100 when you got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. They're going to get to the point, you know?
So my thing is this, and this is why I don't know if this is an overreaction, but I'll tell you why I'm looking at this trade like, what's the big deal?
Mm-hmm.
Interdivision trades to me say a lot. McNabb got traded from the Eagles to the Redskins at that time. You know why? They said, we're not worried about this dude. This dude is washed. What happened? The next year, he got traded to Minnesota. New England traded Bledsoe to the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Why? They're not worried about him. They got Brady. They know Bledsoe ain't what he used to be. What happened? I think he was there maybe 2 years. After that, he's in Dallas.
Yep.
So to me, this is another one of those, yeah, you can have him because we're not really too concerned of he's going to come back and burn us.
No, I see that. I see that. And I think also we got rid of Lloyd Malloy, remember, to the Bills too, right after winning the Super Bowl, and he was still in his prime. I don't know, man. You know, you make a good point. Honestly, I didn't see it that way. But then I look at it as like, yo, with that team stacked the way it is, he doesn't have to even be great. He could be good and still have an impact. At the slot, he gets you 5, 10 yards, 5, 6, 7 yards. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still got
Yeah,
to
but
do.
no, no. But my thing was, Catch was like, "Yo, is this the best receiver room in the NFL? Like, why? Like, yeah, he's good, but like,
I think that's why though, right? Because it's not about the talent, you know. Because look, you got Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
yep,
You can make argument that's the best wide receiver room because
that's who I would think is that's who I think is the
yeah,
best. It's
you know, because we know the only flaw there is Tua. But if you get, man, imagine Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek Hill and Waddle. They couldn't stop him with Basuda. They sure as hell ain't gonna stop him with this. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes too much talent could be a problem. Too much talent could be a problem, right? Because you got all this talent, you got to make it work. And you know that when you get to these places, these wide receivers, they want the ball. They want receptions. They want, throw me the ball. They want targets. And when they don't get it, it becomes a problem. So I don't know. I like how you pointed out. I mean, because that was one of the topics I was going to ask you. What would his impact be on the Eagles? Does it automatically bring the Eagles up a peg because he's on there, or does it keep them, or does it keep it where they're at? You know what I'm saying?
I think a lot. Look again, Eagles and one of the tail of the tape with them in Detroit. I think Detroit has the better offensive line. These dudes just lost Kelsey,
Yeah,
and
this.
he was
Mm-hmm.
he's the ringleader on the offensive line, and he's gone. And I don't think that's going to be easy to replace. That's not just, oh yeah, we picked up Dotson from the Commanders. I think that's a bigger issue than I want to see how their offensive line is without Kelsey. This is the first year without Kelsey. Let's see how it is now without him.
So he's at best a 50% completion receiver.
I don't think it was a big. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, no.
depth. I get it, but again, I think it says a lot when you trade within your division.
Yeah, no. When they did it, I was surprised. I was, because why would you give away a valuable piece to another team that's already stacked? But I also feel, you know what? Somebody said that now to beat the Eagles is make Jalen Hurts throw the ball. Make him throw the ball. If you make him throw the ball, then you got a chance of beating him. But if you let him scramble out the pocket, maybe dump it to Saquon, do the little tush push, all that good stuff, then it's gonna be hard to do. But if you force him into a game to throw the ball, then you could probably beat him because he's not the greatest when it comes to throwing the ball like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, he's a great athlete, phenomenal quarterback. He has made his little ways in the NFL, went to the Super Bowl, outplayed Mahomes for all intents and purposes. We can argue that as a quarterback, he only had one throwing touchdowns, but he had 3 rushing touchdowns on top of that. So it's like you gotta really look at, I'm gonna take what you give me, vice forcing something, which I think Lamar, well, we'll get to that when we talk about it. I think other teams didn't do that against the Chiefs. They instead of taking what you give me, let me play my game, they fall into this mental fuck game where they fall into their game and the defense takes over. You know what I'm saying? If I play my game, keep Mahomes off the field, let me just run the clock, score when I can, take the points I got to take, it becomes a different ball game. I just feel like for me, from what I saw, and what I heard, it was not so much that he's going to make this big difference. It was more of the fact that you gotta basically protect Brown. You gotta stop Smith. You gotta protect against Goddard. You gotta worry about Saquon coming out the back. Do you have enough defense on the field to stop? You know what I'm saying? So can the safety come down fast enough to stop this dude from getting 5 or 6 yards? And I think it's more the impact, not what he brings. Because we already know we always talk about it. When your defense is getting off the bus, are you really worried about Dotson or are you worried about AJ Brown?
You're worried about a lot more before you get to Dotson.
Exactly. And that's why I think they can capitalize if the the offense is operating in the manner it needs to operate, and Jalen does what he needs to do. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a new offensive coordinator. There's questions on that. He's not understanding the playbook like he should. He's having beef with the head coach. That goes back to last year towards the end of the season when they went on that slump. So I think that they can have all these players, but I think that the downfall is going to be deeper than. It's not going to be that the players. It's going to be the lack of connectivity and continuity with the OC and Jalen in that offensive playbook.
In every sport, there's always some type of team that's ridiculously stacked. They got the highest payroll. It happens in baseball and the Dodgers. And if that was the case, the Dodgers would win every year. There's a lot more pressure on these super teams because you're expected to win because look at the roster we got. And it doesn't always end up with the super team winning. So
I
see
mean,
what happens, you know. But this is the last couple of years the Eagles have had the sick roster. So yeah,
I mean,
I've always blamed the coaching, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, I blame the coaching on a lot of stuff. You take remember the Chargers had the #1 offense and #1 defense and lost the playoffs. So it doesn't really matter, honestly. It comes crumbling down if you don't have the right. You can have all that, but I think situational football to me is the key to it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, talking about players, talent, Ravens, Lamar Jackson, under kind of scrutiny for something he said. And while the debate was happening, it was said on Speak, Dave Hellman said, if we're going to give Dak all this critique, then we need to give it to Lamar too in the postseason. And when the numbers came up, I was very surprised, honestly. And I know that I'm not trying to say that Dak Prescott is a better, I think, athlete than Lamar, but the numbers are comparable. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. And I'm going to read aloud for those people that listen to us and not watch us on YouTube. But shout out to Pete because he does a good job with that, putting it together. You know what I'm saying? So send him some hearts when you leave the comments. All right, let me
So there's no way that Dak is a better athlete than Lamar Jackson.
He's not. That's what I'm saying. He's not. So I'm not gonna say that Dak is better than Lamar, but what I'm saying is we go at Dak Prescott. I know I did, and said he was the weakest link of his team in the postseason. But this is the postseason here. Lamar's 2-4. Dak is 2-5. Completion percentage is 57.4 for Lamar. Dak is 64.5. So let's round up 65. You round down here is 57. 9 total touchdowns to 18 total touchdowns. 9 total turnovers to 7 total turnovers. And then 15 sacks to 26 sacks. He gets the and I think what gets Lamar past is the MVPs, right? And the fact that to be an athlete, he is more of an athlete and probably a bigger imposing figure than Dak. A lot of teams say when they go face Lamar, the prep is different for Lamar than it is a lot of other quarterbacks. Even Patty. What's your take on this?
Well, the numbers, I mean, I think it's obvious they're both not ready for prime time. When I say prime time, I mean the playoffs. Just looking at their numbers, yeah, Lamar doesn't have, he's been sacked more, doesn't have the total touchdowns. Win-loss record is pretty much a push, but the completion percentage is not great. But yeah, I agree. What you said earlier is that the MVPs are what get him past that. But it still doesn't change the fact that he's not done what he's had to do in the playoffs. Now, last year, their game plan was horrible. They only ran the ball, I think, 11 times. So that didn't help this situation because then that 2-4 is 3-3. Let's just say they run the ball, they play their game that they were playing all year. They have home field advantage against the Chiefs, and they take care of business like everybody kind of expected them to. That's a 3-3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those turnovers are not 9 because he's not throwing the ball as much because they were running the ball. But that's a lot of ifs and buts. But I agree with what you said earlier. The MVPs are what give him the actual. That's the difference. That's why he doesn't get the same type of flack that Dak gets. And
So
he's done it with less. Look, Dak came in, he had the best offensive line in the league. He was a fourth round pick, but his O line was stacked. He had Zeke.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know they traded for Amari Cooper later on, but
Yeah,
when
he
he
had
came in,
Des Bryant. They
Des
had
Bryant,
yeah, they
that's who
had a
he
roster.
had.
They had a roster. I mean, no, but let's be real. Dak, in my opinion, has had the better um situation with weapons and stuff. Lamar Jackson's first NFL MVP, he had Andrews. They had three tight ends that were phenomenal. Andrews, I can't think the other two, man. It escapes me. And I know who they are because I've actually on other teams and you see their names pop up. But it worked out to his favor. But going back to what you said in the AFC Championship, that's what Deshaun Jackson said. He said Lamar, the Ravens they went away from the way they play the game of football, which was running the ball. They said it had Gus Edwards, they had all this stuff going on, and you try to throw the ball. And he said, in his opinion, that Lamar Jackson he would never be able to keep up with Patty Mahomes throw for throw. Like you're not gonna get a Brady and Peyton situation where they going toe to toe passing the ball. Patrick Mahomes is probably the better thrower of the football, more accurate than Lamar. Where Lamar was better is where he can scramble out the pocket, they can run the ball and stuff like that. And I always said that the Chiefs took the Ravens out their game plan, not just against the coach, even the players. Ravens, in my opinion, has always been like the bullies. They come in there rough. The defense is always good. They get down and gritty. They pound the ball. They run the ball. And then when they got against the Chiefs, it was like the Chiefs were the gritty ones, and the Ravens were like they were in private school up in a good neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So, they definitely took it out of this thing. So, what do you feel, right, for Lamar? Because it's more about Lamar than Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. I think he's, regular season, he's going to get you some wins. Maybe goes to a team other than the Cowboys, he might get you some wins in the playoffs. I don't know. But with Lamar, what do you feel Lamar has to do to change this? Because, eventually it's going to be, I think he's one of the only quarterbacks with 2 MVPs and no Super Bowl ring. You know what I'm saying? You're muted, bro.
It's easy for us to say that, yeah, he's got to do this, and that. Like, I mean, it all comes down to like you got to play better. Look, the Chiefs took what they were given and they won on the road. That's what Baltimore's got. But each year, I think we discussed this before. Each year that passes, that they don't get it. The Bills and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens. Each year they don't get it. The next year when they get into the playoffs, is going to be even that much more pressure. So it's just it's about finally getting over that hump. But the Chiefs are in the way, and I don't know if it's when they line up against the Chiefs in the playoffs, they're putting additional pressure on themselves because they know, look, we got to get it done. We wasted this. We went this whole year just to get to this point, whether it's in Baltimore or Kansas City. We got to beat these dudes, and they're gonna have to get over a hump this year to start the whole season playing in Kansas City on opening night. So maybe they kind of get some confidence by beating them on opening night, and they say, okay, if we go back there in the playoffs, we could beat them. We know we could beat them in Arrowhead, or maybe that a win against them gives them the tiebreaker at the end of the year where they get home field advantage, and they say, look, we beat them before, we can definitely beat them on our turf now. So it's about getting over that hump, but the more years pass that they don't beat the Chiefs or they don't get to where they need to get to, that pressure is going to just continue to it's gonna double. It's gonna double every year.
I'm glad there's not a lot going on right now, so topics are kind of slim. But I'm glad you brought that up because that could lead to another topic. The Chiefs are the team to beat in the NFL. They're the gold standard of winning. They've overcome it. Look, twice, 3 Super Bowl wins they got. He's come back from a deficit, at least 10 points or more, double-digit leads, to come back and win it. I look at it like a boxing match. The guy gives you the first 6 rounds, and after that, he comes back and takes you out. It's like he studied you, he figured you out, and it's gone. We're going to go. I don't know if teams let off on the defense. I don't know if the offense think, oh, we good. But with Patrick Mahomes, you just can't give him a 10, 15-point lead. You got to have 30 points on the board and just maybe 30-point lead, and just maybe you might be able to beat him. The Josh Allen and the Bills, a lot of people don't think they're going to do much because they lost too much, but they didn't recoup it. You know what I'm saying? It's a different when you lose 2 safeties and you go get 2 good safeties. It's a different when you lose a middle linebacker and you get another one. You lost Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. What did you replace with? We don't know what Frank Gore's son's going to look like. Josh Allen has a turnover problem after Dable left. He had one before Dable got there. When Dable took over, he helped them minimize that. Dable left. And now, look, the problems are there. So we got you could say Bills, maybe their window closed a little bit. The Ravens, they went and got a running back. I don't know if that's what the issue was, but they got a running back. And Derrick Henry. The Bengals, we don't know if Burrow's going to be healthy at the beginning of the game, but if they start slow, they can miss the whole playoffs. You know what I'm saying? The Browns with Deshaun Watson, we don't know. Who's the other one? In Pittsburgh, that's my next topic. We don't know what the hell's going on with them. So you got Bengals, Pittsburgh, Browns, and Ravens. That's one division. Chiefs, and then we don't know what the Chargers, Broncos, or Raiders are going to look like. In the East, we got like I said, the Bills, and Tua can't play in the cold. Jets, we don't know because we don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like. In the South, the Jags, maybe, but the Texans are there. So those, I think, are 2 top teams. But then you got the Colts with Anthony Richardson coming back, and we don't know what the Titans are going to look like. So I think, to me, a lot of these teams, I think the only team that's really poised to make a run at them, besides the Bengals, because we know that Joe Burrow, healthy, has beaten Mahomes, is the Texans. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, in the AFC, the Texans. I think they've gotten better in the offseason. Yeah, there's tape on CJ Stroud, but I mean, you still got to learn the kid, and he's still learning too. And whether you see a lot of things that I've seen interviews of his and stuff like that, is like he studies tape. So I think you're right, man. I think some of these teams' windows, man, they're closing real fast. I mean, like I said, some teams got Super Bowls in while the Patriots went on their run. Your team got 2. Philly got 1. I think the Steelers beat us once. Ravens beat us. Divisional round, ran the ball down our throat. Like, I think the first play was a 70-yard run by Ray Rice.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we've been beat before. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think they're not unbeatable, but I just think it's one of those things where you got to have the right team at the right time.
There's no pressure on them either, because it's like, oh, if they don't win it, it's like, oh,
right.
Going for 3 is tough. So, but they did back to back. Everybody was gunning for them, but the pressure is on these other cats. It's on Philly. It's on Baltimore. It's on Buffalo. It's on those guys. San Francisco, especially, because they lost twice to these dudes in the Super Bowl. So, Chiefs I think are playing with house money right now.
Yeah, bro. There's no pressure. There's no pressure. Even if they don't make a third, even if they don't 3-peat, it doesn't matter. In the last 6 years, they got 3 rings.
Yep.
That's 50%.
It's crazy.
Out of 4 games he's playing the Super Bowl, he's won 3. Mate, you got to think that's not bad. Mahomes retires today, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. As much as I hate to say that, but what he's accomplished in this short time, you can't beat. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. He's done things that quarterbacks like Big Ben took him, what? Ben ain't only got 3 rings. He only had 2 with 3 appearances.
Yeah.
MVPs. No NFL MVPs. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So, I mean, yeah, he's always winning seasons. He played great until he started falling off. But compared to Mahomes' accomplishments, it's one of those things where it's like, bro, this dude's got you beat, and you played for 18 years in the league. You know what I'm saying?
He's the golden child right now. He's absolutely the golden child.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, situations matter. You know, if
Oh, with what, bro? You can't even like.
no, let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you put him in the Jets with nobody, is he great? If you put him in the lines with what Stafford had, is he great? There's a lot of teams. If you put him in those teams, look, I think he would have been good in the Saints too, because that was the thing. Sean
Yeah.
Payton was trying to move up to get him, and they talked to Breeze, and Breeze was good with it. So I think they were looking at, man, if we can get Mahomes, let him sit behind Breeze for a year. Breeze retires, bring him in with what they have with Kamara at the time. Michael Thomas was still good. You know, Tyson Hill, the Swiss Army knife of football, is one of those things, man, where he could have fit right in there too. And their defense is always pretty good. So it's like, man, but a lot of teams, a lot of teams. I don't know which team would you think, which one you would want to see him go to that's not great to see how he would have did.
Well, the rumor at the time, the Giants had Ben McAdoo.
Mm-hmm.
Ben McAdoo wanted the Giants to trade up for Mahomes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. You could look that up. I mean, again, McAdoo came from Green Bay. He worked with Aaron Rodgers, so he was kind of he was in, he was in that field as far as offense. He, of course, like I said, he got endorsed by Aaron Rodgers when he got the Giants job. And they before 2022, the last time they made the playoffs was under McAdoo.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew what he was talking about. Of course, he got shot down because they still had Eli, and they hold Eli up here and this.
And he benched Eli. He ended Eli's streak.
He was the guy who pushed for it
Yeah.
to bench Eli. But that, yeah, it would have been great to see him on the Giants. How it would have worked, who knows? But that's who I would have. Of course, that's my team, but I'm also saying that because that's what I heard that McAdoo
Yeah.
was trying to trade up for.
I didn't know that, man. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. It was interesting because watching the Giants Hard Knocks, getting a sneak peek at how they do things before the draft and during the draft. The Chiefs kept that shit closed tight, like to the chest, that nobody knew they had an interest in this kid. And Sean Payton said, "Yeah, I was about to do it," and the Chiefs beat me to it.
Yep.
And that's the difference. Andy Reid is a great head coach, great offensive mind. Had a lot of success before winning Super Bowls. He had a winning success. But it took that one player to get him to where he needs to be at. To now where they're saying, hey, he's the greatest of all time as a head coach. I think he's one of them. You can't. I don't even think Belichick's the greatest of all time. To be honest with you, that's just me. I'll go with Lombardi. I got a thing for Lombardi, man. I love Vince Lombardi. I love what he stood for.
Andy Reid's in the running. He's in the running though.
Who?
Andy Reid's in the running though, man.
I don't know, man. Hey, that dude Lombardi, bro, had like 7 rings, man. Like the dude was NFL championships back to back to back. Then he wins 2 Super Bowl back to back. The dude was, man, the mind that he had. It was. You ever watch his documentaries?
No, but I'll say is this, and I'm not trying to discredit Lombardi. Obviously, the trophy's named after him, but different era, not dealing with a salary cap.
Not
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
the players he was playing against and the guys he had playing for him aren't the same as what these guys are now.
No. I'm
So
talking.
I get it. I get it. It's like the Yankees. Looking back then, they had Babe Ruth, but Babe Ruth was hitting against dudes who had jobs in the offseason. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the way it was back then. He wasn't playing against these top tier athletes that be like you are today.
Yeah, I think definitely talent wise is different. Talent wise is different. The game's changed. Look, back in the 80s, you couldn't come across the middle without getting hit. You know what I'm saying? These defenses was knocking motherfuckers out. Now you blowing a motherfucker and he falls and they flop and it's a flag. So definitely different. I just think that all these guys got something in common. Reed, Belichick, Tom Landry, Knowles, Lombardi. If I'm missing somebody, please forgive me. But the IQ of the game is what I think sets all those guys apart. You know what I'm saying? They're the historian in Belichick, and you got to think back then, those guys wore suits to the game. They were in suits on the sideline, not no hoodie, windbreakers. They was there in suits, but looking professional. You know what I mean? So, very different. You're right. The ever the rules, regulations, free agency, salary caps, all this, none of that stuff was there. They had other things they had to deal with and worry about. Like you still had some discrimination with some teams not wanting certain black players on. It was just the other things like that. But as far as like you said, talent definitely today is a lot different. Hell, today's players you can argue are way more talented than the players 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you now, you like look at this receiving core today. This receiving core, but Adunze could be a number one on a good team. Who's on a you had Harrison Jr., Neighbors, Coleman went second round. Who I'm missing, bro?
What, rookie?
Yeah, wide receivers that just came out this draft class.
Oh, Worthy got picked in the first round.
Yeah, Worthy was last because the Chiefs took him. He's got speed. Sometimes you can't even get to name three great wide receivers, and we talking about 4 or 5 that might be phenomenal coming into the game. So it's very different. I think very different. But you're right, man. We'll see what happens. Definitely one of those things where it's like more excitement to come, right? I'm super excited to see what's gonna happen in this year's season. This season, see what comes out. Bo Nix is starting for the Broncos. Who else? I don't know who else they made. I think we're still going with Brissett, but I don't know. They're saying that Gerard Mayo now is saying that there is a competition because Drake May has made a lot of progress. So you got that there. Mac Jones is doing good down in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
He's not going to start over Trevor. Let's be real. But that could be trade bait. Get him to a team with an offensive mind, the head coach, and a good offense, and he can probably shine. So there's a lot of stuff coming. So, which leads me to my next topic, man. Before I ask you the question, I'm gonna tell you what I feel. I think it's disrespectful, man, that there's even a quarterback competition between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. That's me. Now, maybe I'm thinking more with the respect. 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 ring. Has the experience. He went there because of Mike Tomlin's coaching. Mike Tomlin brought him thinking, hey, with my coaching of men, I can do it. They got weapons. I would give him a shot, man. I would start him before I start Fields. How do you feel about it?
I disagree. I don't think it's this. I don't think it's disrespect. Look, it's not like he came in and has been lighting it up, and they're like, "Yo, it's still a competition." That to me would be stupid. But if there's still a competition, that means he's been lackluster.
Yeah.
And look, and even though he's not the best passer of the ball, Justin Fields has got all the he's an athlete. You know what I mean? Very much, and not saying he's the same. Very much like Jalen Hurts. Very much like Lamar Jackson. I think the right coach can get that out of him. But again, he hasn't lit it up either. And he had his opportunity because Russell Wilson was hurt for a couple of weeks. But to me, this is not a good fit for Justin Fields because the offensive coordinator just got fired in Atlanta. Why? Because he wasn't using the guys he had.
Mm-hmm.
He had Robinson, he had Pitts, and he had Drake London. And this dude, a running back they picked in the first round of the top 10 picks, not giving him goal line carries. Like, what are you doing? That's why he got fired. And now he's the offensive coordinator for a team that doesn't really have, they declined Najee Harris's 5th-year option. So he's kind of like in limbo. Like, I got to pray that I don't get hurt so I can, get a contract somewhere next year. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They got George Pickens and not much after that because they traded Deontay Johnson to Carolina, and they're trying to get Ayuk. So they don't really it seems a little lopsided to me.
I mean, they got. I can see why they didn't pick up Najee's fifth year. He had a horrible, great
No,
rookie.
I get that. I get that.
After that, the dude fucking went downhill. They got Cordell Patterson, which I think is still. I think he should have been a running back the whole time, not even wide receiver. I think Cordell Patterson as a running back would be better than Derrick Henry. That's just me. People don't shoot me, but please, you see it in him. Um, I agree with what you're saying. So here's why my kickback to that, right? What's this guy? Arthur Smith, that's his name. Arthur Blank with Arthur Smith, right?
Arthur Blank was the owner of the Falcons.
Is
Arthur
the owner,
Smith is
the
the
OC now for the
yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the fact that he's not the end all be all and you got Tomlin there is a little different, right? Even though Tomlin's a defensive head coach, he's found a way to win with subpar running backs. I mean quarterbacks this whole time. If you think about it, Ben. So he gets criticized because he says, "Oh, he didn't draft Ben," and he inherited Cowher's team, and they won a Super Bowl 2 years, 3 years after Kyle won his first one. So you still had some of those players there. But in 17 seasons, I think that's how long he's been coaching the Steelers. He hasn't lost yet. He's found a way to win. He's found a way to win. I mean, maybe it's taking advantage of sorry ass teams with a great defense. Steelers have always had a great defense. I mean, that's what they're known for with a pound and ground game. They haven't, I mean, Ben was just more mobile and hard to take down in the pocket. So he had an arm, but they always found good wide receivers. Remember, they had God, man, who caught that pass in the end zone in the Super Bowl? The dude was
Antonio Holmes.
Antonio Holmes. They had Burris. They had, I mean, they found people. You know what I'm saying? Then when they had Le'Veon Bell, the killer bees. You know, Big Ben,
Yep.
Bell, and Antonio Brown. They just couldn't get it over the hump. But at that time, who were they facing? The Patriots. The Ravens would come around every now and then, would smack them around. You know, you still had Peyton in the league. You know, so you got to count for him. You had Phillip Rivers as much as he would turn the ball over, but you still got to give him credit for what he did. You know what I'm saying? When he was good and he was playing. So there was some times you're just not going to win them all. But I don't know, man. I think that it might turn around. I say disrespectful because of what he's done. Is it disrespectful in the sense of what we might consider disrespectful? Nah. But in my opinion, you got to make a choice early. Their last 8 games is ridiculous. Divisional games going against the gauntlet of teams. Now, you could prey on the fact that maybe you hope somebody gets injured, somebody doesn't play. Maybe some of these teams already locked down their playoff spot. So look, we're not going to worry about playing the last 2 weeks of the game, of the season. We'll start our starters for like 1 or 2 drives, get them out of there, and then the second strings go in there. You might get away with that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like the best bet is Wilson until it's not. That's just me. I don't know who they play first, but I think give him a shot first. Because here's why too. It's hard for me to if I'm an OC and I don't even know who's starting. How can I plan for that? Because Fields brings a whole different set of skills than Russell does. With Fields back there, you could do the RPO. He can scramble for yardage. You know what I'm saying? You got a Cordell Patterson, you got Najee Harris, you got the dude Vaughn. You start getting those guys out there, and Fields can, like you said, can bring a different aspect to the game. But I mean, even his consistency, he's playing second stringers and he's not doing nothing.
They play Atlanta in Atlanta the first game of the year.
Atlanta with an efficient. Well, we don't know. He's coming off injury, but Kirk Cousins pretty much when he's healthy, he's pretty efficient. So let me throw this at you, right? JJ McCarthy's out. Vikings got Sam Darnold. Do you push to get Mac Jones over there?
No.
Do you just go with Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold was signed before the draft, so they didn't have JJ McCarthy. Let's say remember the Giants were rumored to get JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
The Vikings, it was like, yo, they may have to trade up to get him. He kind of fell to them. So they didn't know if they was gonna have him. Darnold, I think, was the starter. The plan, it seemed like the plan was to start Darnold regardless. Now, JJ McCarthy came in, he started having a good camp. He played well in the first preseason game, then he got hurt. So I guess that's when the whisper started. Oh shit, he may start. But they got Darnold. Darnold was with Shanahan last year. Darnold's been around the block. He's seen a lot of football. I think no, because okay, so what happened? So Mac Jones is gonna come over there and be the starter?
Why not?
Then he'd have to learn a whole new playbook in what, 10, 15 days?
I mean, how actively involved? I guess he knows the playbooks at the Jags. I mean, it's a spitball. He went.
Well, you know why I asked? Because this guy on ESPN, Mike Tannenbaum, he used to be the GM of the Jets. He said the same team, Minnesota, that they need to trade for Russell Wilson. What's Russell Wilson going to do there? Is he going to learn the playbook like this? Like, I don't.
wouldn't.
The
I'm gonna tell you
playbook
why I
is.
wouldn't go for Russell. I think Russell's where he needs to be, right? It was that before we got to this point of the season, I wanted him in New England. I felt he would have been a good just a good transition quarterback, because I don't expect much out of us this year. So if we're looking at being, let's say, in the top 5 picks next year, then why put Drake May out there to get beat in Mollywop when I could put Russell out there and, we win some, we lose some, we lose some, but I made the attempt. I got a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and the defense looks like it's pretty good. We have a good run game. So maybe we can just hold out. And some teams, maybe we could sneak one in. But I would not send him out there seeing what I've seen in some of these. Well, he only played one or two playoff games. I think he had one drive this game today, and they scored a touchdown on Cordell Patterson running the ball in. They took him out. They put Fields in, and then they put some kid Allen in. I don't think you should have did that. If you told me as a quarterback competition between Fields and Russell, I think you should let Russell play half and let Fields play one other half and see what happens. I wouldn't trade it. I'll say Mac because Mac is younger. Max would have started for 2.5 years or so. Went to the playoffs, got beat, but he went to the playoffs. Pro Bowl year. And Doug Peterson said he's not a bad quarterback. If we get him out the Patriot way of thinking, he'll be okay. And we messed that kid up. I'll say it. Belichick with his arrogance and his ego making Matt Patricia the OC was the worst thing he could have did to that young man. But again, I think there was deeper things there, and I think Belichick was on some self-sabotage shit, and he didn't care. At the end of the day, I got 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator. I coached Lawrence Taylor. You can't say nothing to me. I had the greatest quarterback of all time and probably the greatest defensive player or NFL player of all time in Lawrence Taylor. So get out of here. I don't care. But, I don't know. I think there's some players out there that can move to a certain team if the right, like you take an injury to one of these starting quarterbacks that doesn't have a good backup, and Mac Jones can move, Russell can move. If they bench Russell and start Fields, I want out. If I'm Russell, I'm like, yo, just cut me.
I mean, possibility being that he's not making a lot of money.
Nah.
A 1-year deal.
Yeah, he's on a 1-year deal,
possible.
team friendly. I think it's $1 million they paying his deal.
Something like that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it is
because the Broncos are still paying him, so that's why he was able to take that type of deal.
So I got one last question, because we actually started some other stuff. It came out good. Bo Nix starting for the Broncos. Does Sean Payton get a pass or no?
Or get a pass for what?
This year.
If he plays like shit?
No, of the Broncos struggle.
Yeah, he probably does, because this is his guy. The guy that wasn't his guy, he got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking like he made the right decision because, like I said before, he's not lighting it up. He's not running away with a quarterback competition. In a competition with Justin Fields, who is kind of not proven yet either, being that he's had an up and down start to his career. So, no. I think he gets a pass, yeah.
You think he get a pass? He's got to get a pass. Think about it. It's a rookie first year. He's got to get a pass. I think Sean Payton's a great head coach. Great offensive mind. But one thing that for me is matchups, bro. He got Breeze from the Chargers for nothing, and Breeze turned out to be great. People make you.
Absolutely.
You take a person like Phil Jackson who had Jordan and then goes to the Lakers and he has Kobe and Shaq and still wins. He can sit there and say, I'm a good coach. But then again, he had talent, right? Kobe, to me,
Yeah,
there's Jordan and then there's Kobe. I even put LeBron up there with them. I don't. Jordan and Kobe, to me, that's me. Then you put Shaq as a center in his position. But Sean Payton he had Breeze, man. Breeze was throwing for 5,000 yards on a regular. On a regular. It wasn't like he did it once or twice. No, this motherfucker was like he was our present Dan Marino in a sense.
yeah.
No, except he won a Super Bowl. Dan didn't. So, to me, is he that great of a coach?
It's tough because it's like my thing with the whole, like, you brought up basketball, Phil Jackson. Everybody says, "Oh, Jordan had Phil Jackson," but who was Phil Jackson before he got to Chicago? Now, it's not like he was Pat Riley who went to Chicago, who had championships with the Lakers.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
was
yeah.
Phil Jackson before he got to
Nobody.
Chicago?
Nobody. I mean,
He played for the Knicks and he won a championship
yeah.
when he played for the Knicks. But it's not like he had 5 championships coaching. Like, people throwing that, but yo, he had great, like you said, he had the talent. He had
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
he had Pippen, he had Rodman. Then he goes to the Lakers and he has Shaq and he has Kobe. So it's hard. Same thing with Peyton. But let's see what Peyton has now. Because now, if he does good with Knicks, the guy that he handpicked.
I think he will. If you want my honest opinion, I think he will. I think Sean Payton is one of those coaches. He's an offensive coach. Offensive coaches, I don't think what's the word I'm looking for? I feel offensive coaches can upgrade with the times. Where defensive coaches, I don't think can upgrade with the times like that. See, a defensive coach as a head coach gets blamed for shit that he has no control over, which is the offense. Where offensive coach never really gets blamed for the defense because now it's an offensive league. It's designed for the offense to be great. So when you take an Andy Reid, Sean Payton, I don't know who else because that's what's coming to mind right now. Yo, they're not gonna care. Like Salah right now. Salah's in a hot seat. 3 years in a row, 7 game winnings. Doesn't matter. He won 7 games with nobody. He's on the hot seat. But he's a defensive coordinator. Oh, well, he should have hired better OC. Well, that's what the general manager's for. The owner's for. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a defensive coach, I'm not worried about the offense. That's what I'm hiring you for. I need you to get them right. I'm gonna worry about what I worry about. And then I gotta worry about the team. So I don't know. I just feel like I think he's gonna be okay. Maybe not this year. And you never know. I mean, shit, bro. They don't got tape on this guy. They don't got tape on this guy. If he's coachable and he takes the right approach and he makes the right adjustments, you never know, man. I'm not saying they're gonna win that division because that's the Chiefs division. The only time I see them win that division is if Patty gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? In the season somewhere and can't play no more. So I mean, I don't know. But I say he gets a pass, man. It's now. If it's his third or fourth year, and he's got this rookie now playing for 3 years, he's not a rookie anymore. He's his third year under him, and you can't win 9, 10 games, then yeah, I think he's in the hot seat.
Oh, by the third year, yeah, it's.
So do you think that Russell loses? Like, do you think that now with all this going on and exposure, I would say, that Russell's Hall of Fame career he had in Seattle is gone?
Yes.
Hmm.
He didn't maintain it. He didn't maintain it. Like, if you, my opinion, and we discussed this before as well, Deion Sanders said there should be another room in the Hall of Fame for the truly elite
Yes,
players.
I agree.
So if Russell would have kept on, then maybe he does make the Hall of Fame. So what do we know Russell for? We know him for throwing a pick at the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl. And we know him now from getting chucked out of Seattle to Denver, one of the worst trades in NFL history because they cut him, owing him $35 million. He goes to the Steelers, and he's in a neck-and-neck race with another guy who was cut loose by his former team in Justin Fields. He massive drop from where he was at to where he is now. Let's see. Maybe he beats out Justin Fields and has a great season this year. But if that, then I would say that he kind of gets back on that trajectory to the Hall of Fame. But If he doesn't, I think it's over. I don't think he has a chance of getting in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think he's gonna do it, man. Here's my take on it, and I could be wrong. Um, I could only compare it to what I did for my entirety of my life, and that's so. Let me put it back in perspective this way: how we grew up, you either had it was in you or it wasn't in you. You was gonna be successful or you wasn't. You was gonna be a dog or you wasn't. You was gonna be prey or you're not. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at it, when I look at it, you gotta have that shit in you to look in the mirror and say, hey, my man, that Super Bowl was great. He should have probably ran the ball that second one.
Oh God.
But where you at now? And can you adjust? And I think sometimes so much success so early, it takes away the hunger from us. And instead of us finding that thing inside of us to push us, we don't, and we stay where we're at. So I think he's not there no more. I don't think that Russ exists anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Nah.
Now, maybe he wins. Maybe he gets that taste of victory. And maybe he goes on a run somewhere and they but so what's 9 wins? Same shit Tomlin's been getting. I think if you want to make a statement, you got to win a playoff game. You got to go in a wild card. You got to win the division if you can, but if you can't, you got to win that wild card game. Even if you get bumped in the division rounds, it doesn't matter. You did something. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game since 2016, which I think Russell won his last playoff game in 2017. So if you can go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, maintain Tomlin's winning record, and beat one team in the playoffs, I think, like you said, you're in the right trajectory. Because now you've won a playoff game. You've helped a franchise that's been winning but not winning a playoff game or not even making the playoffs at all. And me and you both know, once they get in the playoffs, you never know. All it takes is one. Every day is a new game, bro. They still got a strong-ass defense. Let's not sleep on the defense. You got Minka Fitzpatrick. You got T.J. Watt, Highsmith. You got players there that if that defense gets going, all Russell got to do is not fuck the game away, bro. All you got to do is go out there and just make sure you got running backs. You got Najee, even though we know Najee fell off. We got Cordell Patterson. We got that dude Vaughn. They have them. So now you start looking like, can we win? And again, we don't know what Lamar's going to look like in the playoffs this year. We don't know what Deshaun Watson, he didn't even play a game at all. Not a one snap in preseason, bro. And Burrow, I like Burrow. I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. So I think Burrow's good, but we don't know, man. That's it for me, man. I ain't got nothing else. And we turned shit into to nothing until we made it do something today. You got anything you guys want to say, man?
No, man, I'm just waiting for these preseason games to be over so the fantasy drafts can come, and then it's time to get started. Thursday night.
Okay. Well, yeah, man. Listen, that's what I'm waiting for too. I have my first draft. I want to say Saturday. We got a meeting tomorrow, one league, and see what's up. So I think I'm gonna be ready. I gotta create the other league. I don't know. I got a lot of shit to do. I got 5 leagues I gotta worry about. I know you're looking like that's crazy, but I'm retired, bro. And I do my business when I do it. Man, look, I know this ain't got nothing to do with the podcast, but that mansion, that nice house that we was at, shit was winning, bro. But I got bid up, man. That last Monday night going into Tuesday, we was out there, no shirts on, bro. I got bite marks all over, man, all over. From what I don't think it was mosquitoes. I don't know what it was, but we was having such a good time, bro. We ain't even worry about it, man. We ain't even worry about it. So with that being said, man, look, share, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, follow us, leave comments, let us know we could do better, what topics you want. Pete and I will always be here. June's missing a day. James got his thing going on. So don't forget to follow us and do what we do. Pete, you got anything you want to say?
That's it for me, man.
All right, man. Peace. Till next week.